the J120 class here in Detroit is one of the biggest fleets that we have, and from what I've been told, is also one of the strongest fleets here on the lake. And obviously, that just doesn't happen without a lot of work. But what is your history with the class, and how did the class get to the strength that it is today?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a quick story, but I started out racing on a North American 40 with a gentleman by the name of Frank Kern, and there was a big fire that took out a lot of North American 40s back in the mid 90s. And Frank put together a group of people to buy what J120s as replacement boats for that class, and there were a couple that had been in Detroit already, and that sort of built the fleet. And Frank has since passed, but he was a huge promoter. He really arranged this whole setup for us to all be right next to each other on the dock. So we're not just racers competing, and we're all great friends and family with each other. So it's really the most wonderful 40-foot sailing experience I've ever been a part of. I raced with Frank a little bit on his 120, and he would tease me about buying one when I couldn't afford to buy a beer. And when I finally got to a position where I could, he would call me up and say, "Hey, there's a 120 for sale. There's a 120 for sale." And so I had a Sabre 34 named Sleeping Tiger prior, and I really wanted to race competitively in a one design fleet. I'd raced Etchells in the past with Tom Dawson out of Bayview here, and I love the close interaction of boats around the marks. For me, that's the exhilaration, and so a chance to be a part of this was something I couldn't say no to. So that's how we got our boat, and people see what we do and how we interact with each other. We all race on each other's boats, and we all stand out here afterwards and talk about the races and what we could have done differently and what we see in each other's boats. And we're happy for each other when we succeed, and people want to be a part of it. And that's why the class continues to develop and grow.
And then you're the fleet president, captain, whatever you want to
The
call it?
Great Lakes
Great
Club.
Lakes captain. But the fleets just don't naturally just kind of do their thing, right? It takes some effort. But as the ringleader of all this, what do you find works to keep this people happy in the class, right? I mean, it takes work.
Yeah, it does take a little bit of work, and we've had, a few issues come up. The technology is always changing, so we're always talking about, do we follow that or do we keep the boats, all the same the way they are, small things, and really no one's in the class is out to change the boat. We all love the boats. They're great offshore boats. They're great, day sail around the buoy boats, and but we've had to make some modifications because of the materials and things that are changing. We're looking at how we just keep the boats together, so we're not breaking things, and that they're functionally appropriate and safe. And if the easier they are to handle, the easier it is to get crews to come out, and the more boats we can have on the line, that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Do you have to go out and recruit new boats, or do you find that people want into the class?
We've had a couple of boats that have changed hands recently, and we always try and keep them in Detroit. I think all the owners, anyone that was going to leave the class now would prefer to have it stay in Detroit. Everyone, we all really appreciate what we have here, so we're all trying to keep it together. And anybody that's interested in buying a boat, we tell them this is the way to go, of course, because we all believe that to be the truth. One thing we're struggling with is the boats are getting older, and so as boats do that, there's always some more maintenance or updates that are associated with that, and so I think that's the one thing that we really try and work through is how do we keep the boats fresh and reliable and don't require so much energy maintenance wise, so that people that just want to sail want to be a part of this class as well. So we share tips on on things, how to repair the boats, where to get parts. We share parts with each other and help each other to do any kind of repairs, because sometimes finding out how to do something takes more time than doing it. And so we share all of our experiences together, and with all the other J120s around the world too. So.
Your sailing season is short, but how do you get people active in the wintertime? I see you guys. This is a little Bahamas getaway. What's the story there?
Yeah, so I've always been a big fan of Florida sailing. And got to a point in my life when I owned the boat with another gentleman named Rick Titsworth, and him and I, we took the boat to Newport and raced it to Bermuda. One of the reasons we wanted the 120 was we knew it could do stuff like that, and so we trailered it out. And we did the race, and we came back, and then we had a plan to go down and do some racing in the down south, and a boat came up for sale down south, and it was pretty stripped out. But we decided that having a second hull and mast in Florida would be a good way for us to go do some of the things we wanted to do. So we actually have a second boat in the Florida called Sleeping Tiger South, another J120, and we just take all our racing sails, all our gear, all our safety stuff in the fall and go down and put it on the boat, and so we can do some of the races we always dreamed about down in SORC and that kind of thing. And it's been good fun, and we get all of the different boats and crews involved, and it's been a great experience for us.
When you get all the owners together down there, is there battles over who gets to drive, or
surprisingly, just kind of on a whim, we were all up in Harbor Springs last year, and we had 6 or 7 of us racing up in Harbor Springs, and after a race, we all jumped in the lake, and all the owners are floating around in the lake, and we all were talking about how great it was, just that we all had each other's company, and just to be a part of racing together. And I said, well, why don't you guys all come down and race on Sleeping Tiger South this winter? And everybody said great. And so we brought all the owners, or most of the owners, down to do the Palm Beach race, which is a short race. And actually everybody drove, and we had a great time, and we ended up winning the race. So it was great fun. You would think everybody would want to be in charge, but I'll tell you what, everybody that owns one of these boats, they know all the jobs on the boat. So,
yeah. It's also a chance to not be in charge, right?
Yeah, I know. Everybody had a great time, and we all enjoyed each other's company, which was the most important.
And racing out here on Lake St. Clair in a J120, what's the tips and tricks and walk me around the race course with this fleet? Starts, mark roundings.
I'm not the tips and tricks guy. That's the boat next door, and the one next to that, and the one to the left of me. So I started out in this class, and I used to joke around, but in half seriousness, that I always wanted to start in the front, because then I got to race everybody on my way to the back. But whether we're battling for 8th position or 2nd position or 1st position, it's the same battle, and that's the beauty of this class, is the intensity to try and beat one boat, whether it's the 9th boat or the 2nd boat, is the same. And I don't think I'm the right guy to tell you the tricks to win this class, because that's not where we've been. But we're pulling it together, and we're getting faster all the time. So.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that then. So who is the fastest, or what is the fastest boat in this fleet? We got to find that now.
No, that's really the great thing about any one of these boats could win this weekend, and 4 or 5 of them have. So yeah, there's not one absolute leader. There's guys that are always near the top, but anybody can be up there.
All right. How about this guy, Chris or Charlie Hess?
Oh, Charlie Hess?
Yeah.
Well, he won Wednesday night, so I know he wins a lot. So. He's there.
All right, Charlie Hess, he's a man. We should probably go find out what he does to go faster.
All right,
let's do it.
Sounds good.
All right, so we found Dave Taylor on the J120, the Hissy Fit at Bayview Yacht Club. But you're not from Bayview Yacht Club. I heard this pretty funny story of how you came into this fleet. Let's give us the quick background.
Okay. Well, I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas, and I came up here to purchase a 120. I was looking around different parts of the country, and I found this one and bought the boat and met the fleet up here. Didn't realize at the time there was a fleet of 120s up here, and they encouraged me to join the fleet, and I've joined the fleet, and it's been history ever since. A lot of fun.
So how regularly do you come up here to Bayview to race?
3, 4, 5 times a summer. But I'll try to come up a week or 2 at a time.
All right, so you have a second boat in Arkansas, is that true?
Yeah, I've got another 120 in Arkansas.
So did you bring the boat up here, or what?
Well, I was trucking this boat back and forth for the first 3 years I owned it. And it got to where I was having a lot of detours coming back and forth. So I got tired of trucking it. So I purchased another boat to leave in Arkansas, and I have this one up here.
And you just happen to have a big truck and a trailer?
Yes, I've got a hydraulic trailer and a semi, and I just truck it myself.
A semi CB radio, but I got a boat behind you. It's not a wide load, right?
Yeah, well, very wide load, yeah. Yeah.
They don't see many J120s going down the road in Arkansas, do they?
Not many,
yeah.
Not many, but it's interesting to pull one that far, yeah.
Yeah, I bet. And you do the major races, the MAC races, and
I've done Chicago, Port Huron, Mills, Port Huron International long distance race for Bayview, a few others.
So, is your crew all from here, or do you just get in a giant van in Arkansas and everyone do the drive?
Mainly from here. I do bring up a crew or 2 every once in a while, but mainly from here.
And what was it that drew you to the 120? I mean, there's so many boats that are like this out there, but why
Just
the 120?
just the performance of it and the cruising characteristics of it. So you can race it and you can cruise it. It's just a great boat.
And when you come up here to race, well, you're a freshwater sailor, so this is probably not much different.
No, that was another part. I'm glad you mentioned that. The fresh water is really what attracted me up here. I really wouldn't have the desire to go to salt water compared to this.
Salt water. Yeah.
Mhm.
So what's the racing like in this fleet? Going around the race course, close,
Oh my God.
loud. Bring me on board for one nutty racer.
Oh my gosh, very competitive, man. It's just like we're racing lasers or something. You race the one design, and then your three boats are finishing the line at the same time. It's just crazy for a 40-foot boat to be those close together.
What's the key to the start?
A good start.
The boat has momentum. Though,
yeah. You can coast a little bit, but yeah, I'll try to get better and better on my starts. But coming into a competitive fleet like this, you kind of got to get normalized with them first.
And a big spinnaker, getting around the corners has sometimes always been kind of the thing in the 120 class.
Absolutely.
Big spinnaker, big
Yeah.
big problems when it goes wrong. How have you perfected the mark roundings?
We're still trying. I mean, we do a good job though. We got good bow people, good crew, and we try better and better. We went out last night to practice, so we're trying to get better and better.